Distinguished speakers and dear participants, I'm very sorry I cannot be with you today at this important side event on women's nutrition, but I'm with you in spirit, and I'm very honored to be able to speak to you virtually, both with my Pakistan hat on as well as in my capacity as co-chair of the WHO Commission on Ending Childhood Obesity. There's certainly no doubt about the importance of adequate nutrition, which is a fundamental cornerstone of any individual's health. But it is especially critical for women because inadequate nutrition wreaks havoc not only on a woman's own health, but also on the health of her children. We know very well now that children of malnourished women are more likely to face cognitive impairment and short stature. We know that they have lower resistance to infections and that they face a higher risk of disease and death throughout their lives. It is also well established that women are more likely to suffer from nutritional deficiencies compared with men. But we also know that there are a number of reasons for that. Women's reproductive biology, the increased likelihood of their having a low social status, their poor access to education, and their higher likelihood of life in poverty. In addition, there are also a number of sociocultural traditions and disparities in household work and the distribution of food, which can also increase a woman's chance of being malnourished. And this is bad news because research shows that being underweight hinders women's productivity and can lead to increased rates of illness and mortality. We know that poor nutrition and, as a consequence, stunting is associated with reduced work capacity and is a known risk factor for obstetric complications. This in turn increases the likelihood of skilled intervention during delivery, putting mothers and their newborns at greater risk of injury or death. Distinguished participants, sadly, we also need to be reminded that adolescent girls are particularly vulnerable to malnutrition because they are growing faster than at any time since their first year of life. They need protein, iron, and other micronutrients to support the adolescent growth spurt and to meet the body's increased demand for iron during menstruation. Adolescents who become pregnant are at even greater risk of various complications. We know that pregnant adolescents who are underweight or stunted are especially likely to experience obstructed labor and other obstetric complications. So improving women's, children's, and adolescents' nutrition should be a public health imperative. But we should recognize that this requires a range of policies, programs, and interventions at different stages of life. And since we know that malnourished women give birth to malnourished children, it is vital to take action to improve nutrition across generations. And it is here particularly that adolescent girls should be at the heart of a life course approach. Research in several community settings where many adolescent girls are underweight has demonstrated that supplements can improve girls' overall health and their future pregnancy outcomes. In many countries where iron supplements have been given out in schools, the prevalence of anemia has fallen significantly. And more broadly, health interventions that reach adolescents certainly hold promise because they can help establish healthy habits and knowledge that could potentially continue into adulthood. So just to cite an example, if boys receive information about women's increased nutritional requirements during pregnancy and lactation, they are likely to be better partners when they have families of their own. These interventions, ladies and gentlemen, are all very important, but we should recognize that policymakers can help improve women and children's nutrition also by other means, and most importantly, for example, by addressing women's low status in the society. I'm sure you're aware that gender inequalities are often greatest amongst the poor, particularly in terms of household investments in health and education. Research indicates that women who have greater control over household resources tend to be healthier and better nourished, as do their families, because women prioritize spending on nutrition, health, and well-being of their households, as we all know. So, therefore, addressing gender inequalities can help ensure that women and girls get the nutrition they need, improving their own health, but also the health of their families, and so ultimately contributing to their society's development. Ladies and gentlemen, I would like to share with you two additional messages from my recent work. Firstly, as chair of the United Nations Secretary General's Independent Accountability Panel for the Global Strategy for Women's, Children's and Adolescents' Health, I want to draw your attention to the three pillars of this new strategy. And these three pillars are survive, thrive, and transform. The strategy is aimed to help further the 2030 Sustainable Development Goals. And under its thrive pillar to ensure health and well-being, nutrition is now very well embedded in alignment with the 2030 SDG nutrition target, which aims to end all forms of malnutrition and to address the nutritional needs of children, adolescent girls, and pregnant and lactating women. And here is a tremendous opportunity for countries to increase investments in nutrition and to develop their investment case and obtain funding through mechanisms such as the Global Financing Facility. Secondly, I want to reiterate that we need to tackle malnutrition holistically and not just at the undernutrition end of the spectrum. And as co-chair of the WHO Commission on Ending Childhood Obesity, I would like to draw your attention to the issue of childhood obesity and the recent report of our commission, which was launched in January. Our report includes a comprehensive package of important recommendations to address childhood obesity by promoting healthy diets, through the promotion of physical activity, and providing treatment to children who are already obese. But importantly, the Commission's recommendations also focus on the life course approach and the importance of nutrition and health even before conception and during pregnancy. Our report underscores the vital role played by breastfeeding in early nutrition for healthy growth and the critical opportunity during childhood and adolescence to nurture healthy diet and physical activity to prevent obesity in childhood and much further beyond. We must recognize that tackling malnutrition in all its forms will improve not just the well-being and health of this generation, but also of the generations to come. So to conclude, ladies and gentlemen, I would like to emphasize that adequate nutrition is important for women, not only because it helps them to be productive members of the society, but also because of the direct effect maternal nutrition has on the health and development of the next generations. We must acknowledge that the toll of women's malnutrition in all its forms on maternal and infant survival, well-being stands in the way of countries' efforts towards achieving the Sustainable Development Goals, and that there must be a concerted effort to address this challenge. I thank you for your attention.